sleep does your child really need with every stage and age? I think this is a really common question that I get very often. And today we're going to be breaking it all down. So we dispel all the myths, make it as clear as crystal so you know exactly what to expect with your child's sleep as they get older. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Funke Afolabi-Brown, and I'm the founder of the Restful Sleep Place and Restful Sleep MD, and also the author of a new book, Beyond Tired, a sleep physician's guide to solving your child's sleep problems for good. And so today, like I said, we're going to be talking about how much sleep your child needs. One of the things that we know is that with every age and stage, sleep requirements change. So think of it as your newborn period, right? Your child's newborn period, they are sleeping a lot. And then as they get older, it seems like sleep becomes more consolidated. They seem to be able to stay awake longer. And then when they get even older, like school age and teen years, the sleep needs change, right? So your child who was taking multiple naps when they were much younger now doesn't need a nap. And these requirements vary all the way till adulthood. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So here's the thing I always will say, even with every stage and every age, there's such a wide variability. And you can think of your child's sleep like a pair of shoes, right? You might say, yeah, maybe by the time they are, 13, that they're wearing a shoe size of maybe 4 to 6 or 5 to 7. Now, that varies. Some kids have smaller feet, some kids have bigger feet. And that's the same thing with sleep, right? Your child, your toddler may, like we all usually will say, need anywhere from about 11 to 14 hours of sleep, right? But within that, there's also specifics which is unique to your child. So it's really important to understand that the numbers I'm going to be giving you today are really general ballparks, which you will have to figure out how much sleep does this child need within that recommended range. Okay, so let's start with newborns, right? We all know that when you have that newborn baby, they really don't have a set sleep wake schedule, and that is completely normal. Within those first 3 months, they are sleeping all the time, they are awake at night, they have their day and night pretty much reversed in most cases, and it takes really being strategic to help them to flip that. And so it's not surprising that you have your newborn kind of like catnap, which really can contribute to a lot of sleep deprivation and exhaustion with new moms. So your newborn period, usually we'll talk about them needing anywhere from 14 to 17 hours of sleep. That's a lot of sleep. And so you can imagine that that sleep is kind of spread throughout the day and night. So I don't want you to only focus on the night. I want you to think of all that daytime sleep plus all their naps the daytime sleep plus all their naps, nighttime sleep plus all their naps, right? This is really a ballpark. So 14 to 17 hours of sleep every single day. Again, some will sleep about 14, some get away with needing up to 17. And it's such a range. So I don't want you feeling like, oh, my neighbor's child was sleeping, 16 hours and mine's only getting 14. Maybe something is wrong. You really have to know how much your child needs before you can make that assumption. It is such a wide range. Now, after they move through those first 3 months and we move to that like early infant stage between 4 months to about 12 months, the general recommendation is 12 to 16 hours of sleep. I want you to pay attention to this. 12 to 16 hours is not just overnight, it includes all their naps. And by this stage, they are starting to consolidate their naps. You might start to see that your infant is taking anywhere from 2 to about 4 naps, right? If they're younger, they may take a little bit more. As they get older and approach that 12 months, they're probably closer to about 2 naps. So that's something that's important. So again, we're combining the nighttime sleep with their daytime nap. And within that infant stage from 4 to 12 months, it's anywhere from about 12 hours to 16 hours of nighttime sleep plus naps. Now we move to the toddler stage, right? Toddler between 1 and 2 years of age. This is when, earlier on in that toddler stage, maybe when they're about 1 to about 15 or 18 months, they still need about 2 naps. And these naps can range anywhere from 30 minutes to about an hour and a half to 2 hours, right? So during that toddler stage, the total number of hours of sleep is anywhere from 11 to 14, again, including those naps. So if they have about, 2 naps during the day, then you're thinking anywhere from about 11 to 12 hours of overnight sleep. So that will kind of help you know how much sleep you expect overnight. Let's move on to preschool. During preschool, they're active, they're moving around a lot more. By this stage, they're starting to drop. They might be getting ready to drop their nap, especially as they approach that 5 year mark. And that preschool stage, children need anywhere from 10 to 13 hours of sleep. So you can imagine that if they're not taking a nap, you may expect them to sleep a little bit longer over the course of the night, right? But if they are taking a nap, then maybe they don't need as much of that overnight sleep. So essentially, you can kind of gauge how that works based on what stage they are, whether they're 3, whether they're 4. Usually by the time they're 5 and ready for kindergarten, many kids are starting to drop their naps. Although I could tell you that I have 3-year-olds that are done with naps. And so we'll talk a little bit about what to look out for to help you to know if this child is ready to drop their nap or not. I would say even if your child is done with napping within that preschool age, you still want to create some quiet time for them. And during that time, they could just be in a room, sitting quietly, maybe reading a book or playing gently with non-stimulating toys, right? So you really want that time for them to just really veg out, I would say. That's really what it is. Then now we move to school age, right? So that's between age 6 and 11 years. And during that time, your child needs about 9 to 11 hours of sleep. During this stage, they're probably not napping anymore. If they're still like, 10, 11, and they need a nap, we need to talk and say, what else is going on? Why do they still need a nap? So it's important for you to know that. And then our teens need 8 to 10 hours of sleep, right? And that's a time when brain development is rapid, the emotions, there's so many things going on. And so sleep is really, really important. Even though they need a little bit less than your younger children would, they still need enough sleep. So it's important that you work very closely with your teen to make sure they're getting adequate sleep. Now, when it comes to our adults, our young adults, as well as our adults, usually we'll say anywhere from 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So again, I would say the more the better, especially if you have a young adult, but 7 to 9 hours is our general ballpark. Okay, so we've talked about different age ranges. We've talked about how much sleep they need. Now, here are some signs that you need to pay attention to that will help you to know, okay, do we need a little bit more? Do we need a buffer? Is this child getting enough sleep? What could be going on? And it could be things like if they're waking up and they're still tired, you might want to wonder, are they getting enough sleep? That's usually the first thing that I want us to check off. Like, are they getting enough sleep? Now, if they are getting enough sleep, then we got to wonder what's going on with their sleep quality that's making them wake up tired, right? So tiredness when they wake up or excessive daytime sleepiness. So if you have a child who's not, maybe somewhere on the edge in terms of the minimum amount of sleep they need, and they're tired, they're sleepy, they're falling asleep on car rides, my first recommendation will be let's try to get them more sleep. They may start to have increased irritability, they may have increased meltdowns, they may have lack of focus, they may start to have behavioral problems in school where they're disruptive or impulsive. And usually, what I tell parents is that sometimes your child is not necessarily doing this intentionally. They are overtired, and so they're looking for ways to promote alertness. So they're fidgety, they're moving, they're irritable, they're impulsive, and all they're trying to do is try to stay awake. Your older child may just fall asleep. You see them, their heads are down and they're not up during class. So those are reasons why you may wonder, okay, are they getting enough sleep? Another big one is the mood issues. Again, increased anxiety, sometimes depression, lack of motivation. All of those things could be related to insufficient sleep. You might actually also notice increased illnesses. I've seen that where when kids are chronically sleep deprived, they start to get more colds, they start to end up with more congestion. They seem to get every cold that's been passed around in class. So that might be a sign, because if your child's sleep is not sufficient, it might be because their immune system is down because they're not really getting the benefit of a full night of sleep. Now, I talked a lot about quantity of sleep. I want you to know that there's a whole range of issues that affect your child's sleep quality. So you always want to pay attention, especially if you feel like you've gotten them enough sleep overnight, to now say, okay, they're still tired, they're still irritable, they're still having meltdowns, they're still, you know, sleepy, all of those things. You may then say, okay, let's do a deeper dive to figure out what is going on with their sleep quality. Do they have a sleep disorder like sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome? Do they have a disorder like narcolepsy or something of that sort? So you really want to pay close attention, I would say, to that piece. Now, what are the ways by which you can increase? So, understanding now that, okay, well, I guess my child's not getting enough. Maybe they should be getting 10 hours of sleep and they're only getting 8 hours, right? Here's what I recommend doing. Number one is, first of all, figure out how much sleep does your child need, and then try to aim for the minimum to start and then increase it from there, right? And lean in with curiosity. I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, I've been sleep depriving my child. No, 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 no. Now you know, and you know the next steps to take. So figure out how much sleep your child needs. The second thing is, make sleep a priority and help them make sleep a priority. So if you have a child who maybe they have so many activities, they're in, you know, they're in games and they're in sports and they're in clubs and they have homework, they have so many things that sleep just tends to be put on the back burner. That's when it's time to have a conversation. Say, what do we need to do to make sure that sleep does not, you know, fall off the priority list, so to speak? So you help them with managing their time. And when you teach them these skills now, as they get older, it's going to be a thing, right? They're not going to neglect sleep because they have an email and deadlines and work and all of that. They'll be able to still prioritize their sleep and actually manage their time very effectively. I always say that one of the ways by which you can make sure you are an effective time manager is to make sure that sleep is a priority. Because if sleep is a priority, you'll be like, okay, what are the things I need to do to make sure that I get enough sleep? And all of a sudden, you're kind of working your way backwards to make sure that you're getting things done in time. So figure out how much sleep they need. Make sleep a priority. Number three is, I would say, gradually increase their total sleep. Okay. If you have a child who typically doesn't go to bed until, you know, maybe 9:30, right? And you want them to, maybe they need an ideal bedtime of 8 p.m. because you want them to get enough sleep overnight. If you just kind of shove them to bed at 8 p.m. and their body's been used all this while to falling asleep at 9:30, they might struggle. You might be lucky where they fall asleep, but many times they might struggle with that. That's a whole new adjustment. So what you would do, what I would recommend you do, is work gradually. So assuming typically they go to bed at 9:30, then you can move it to 9:15 or 9 p.m. and then kind of watch them for a couple of days and move it to 8:45, and then you watch it for a couple of days and then you move it to 8:30, and you're watching, making sure they're able to fall asleep on time. Goal is to make sure they're asleep within about 20 to 30 minutes. If they're falling asleep in an hour, then you've gone too quickly. May need to go, you know, slow down on that process. So gradually make those shifts, make those adjustments. And then the next thing I would say is practice those healthy sleep habits we always talk about, right? Avoiding device use at bedtime. Make sure they have a regular sleep wake schedule. Make sure they're not drinking caffeine or soda or sugary drinks before bed. Make sure that bedroom environment is healthy, it is clean, it is noise free, it is cool, right? Make sure that it is dark. So all of those things are very important when it comes to fundamentals to ensure we optimize their sleep. And then finally, when you've made all these changes, you need to figure out how well are we doing. So assess them objectively by saying, okay, how much sleep are they getting now? Are we close to goal, right? And the next piece would be then look for, like, how does their sleep impact their daytime behavior right now? Say maybe they were really tired during the day, they were super irritable during the day, they were impulsive, unmotivated, anxious, you know, all of that stuff. So you're watching for all those signs such that they have enough sleep now. Oh, wow, we've seen an improvement in their daytime performance. Win win. That sounds awesome. The teacher will thank you. Or alternatively, we're getting enough sleep and these problems are still persisting. Then we could say, okay, sleep quality, let's check that out. Let's figure out if there's anything else. Let's figure out if there's an underlying sleep condition that's going on. You know, that will kind of help you to brainstorm to know exactly where you need to intervene. So this was an incredible episode. I've always wanted to share this with you just to really break this down. And my hope is that breaking this down in terms of how much sleep your child needs by age, in terms of how to you increase their sleep overall if they're not getting enough sleep, and also in terms of how to tell if your child needs more sleep versus not. And so this is something that I hope you're going to find valuable enough for you to share and help me get the word out, right? You are understood this, you've enjoyed this. Now help to move the mission forward by sharing it, by letting me know. Let me know in the comments, how much sleep is your child getting? Are they getting enough sleep? And what strategy? How are you going to make sure that they do get enough sleep? I would definitely want to know in the comments. And then finally, listen, we talk about this in so much more detail in my new book. It's called Beyond Tired, a sleep physician's guide to solving your child's sleep problems for good. These are evidence-based strategies. This is information that you need to move the needle forward, to help you figure out what's going on with your child's sleep. It's available on Amazon. Grab a copy for yourself, grab a copy for a fellow parent, and leave us an Amazon review to let us know what your thoughts are as well. This has been an amazing time, and I hope that until next time, you rest well.